PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of the PharmaPhobic podcast, where we help you achieve the healthiest, strongest, and most capable version of yourself. We're brought to you by Achieve the Lifestyle.
Yes.
And I'm here with my lovely, the one and only, Miss Janie Brown.
Hello, all. Hi, Dan.
We have a special guest today. The Maggie Moo is in the studio.
She's laying down right here.
She's quickly becoming a gym doggo and a podcast doggo. If you guys want to invite Maggie Moo on your podcast, I'm sure she's got quite the story. Just hit us up, info@achievethelifestyle.com.
She will require payment in food.
Yep. Treatos, preferably. We're going all healthy snackaroonies here for this girl. So just make sure that are single ingredient Treatos for Miss Maggie Moo, okay? And my wife is laughing because Maggie Moo is supposed to be sitting on this side of the table by daddy's side, but she's on mommy's side, and I don't know what's going on with that.
I know exactly what's going on.
Stop cozying up to my doggo.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, we got a nice, interesting health discussion for you guys today. Of course, surprise, surprise. Talk about.
Do we have any updates
in the PharmaPhobic podcast? We don't have updates, but I'm gonna get something off my chest. Well, this is kind of updatey, the one we're gonna talk about, but I gotta get something off my chest.
I meant like personal life updates. Do we have any updates?
No personal life updates. Well, we talk about Rolo. This is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Our other dog, Rolo, he's going to be 14 December 1st, and he's showing some cognitive decline.
Amongst other things.
Yeah.
Amongst other things. He's obviously got the bumps all over the place, which is sad when you start petting your dog and he's being a dog, but then you like, what is this? What is this? What is this? You know, what could be tumors, right?
Yeah.
All over. Apparently 100% of dogs get cancer these days. 100%. That's how dogs die these days. They all get cancer.
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of getting at.
That was what you're going to get off your chest?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get off my chest first. Well, it's more about Maggie's vet visit because that pissed me off.
Yeah. So Rolo's our old man, and he's starting to. I'm going to take him to the vet tomorrow, not to do this whole workup, not to like image him and do blood work and just try to chase things down to prolong his life. That's not what this is about, but more just to discuss with the vet about red flags, what to do that I can help make him more comfortable, because he's still peeing and pooping okay, drinking okay, eating. He started to become less interesting in food, which to me is a big deal because he's a
fat body. He's a hungry butt. Yep. Rolo is a hungry butt.
Yeah. And so that's sad, but to unfortunately be expected because as Dan said, most dogs, to hear a dog living to 14 isn't quite common. And so
man, I ain't buying. I'm not buying it. I don't believe you. I bet you doggies under normal circumstances. I mean, are wolves dropping dead of cancer in the freaking wild?
I don't know.
Exactly. Like just.
But he also has some shortness of breath.
Yeah. So
it's probably heart. So
I just don't believe you that dogs are supposed to die at 15. Oh, that's what they live. Shut your mouth, okay? Talking about like the dog in Portugal that lived to 31.
Right. Yeah.
31, this chocolate lab in Portugal.
That's an adult.
I know, that is an old man.
Yeah.
And the owner said that he only fed him raw foods, right? He would eat fish heads and raw beef and all this stuff. He never put him on a leash, so the dog was never leashed, which is crazy. I mean, obviously not that many people can pull that off in a city in Western civilization,
Yeah.
but never leashed him, only ate raw foods. Dog lived to 31.
We need to befriend a butcher is
Yeah.
what we need to do.
Yeah, so you give her bone and stuff like that. But, you know, my theories for dogs, everybody, like I said, if you've put a dog down, you've had to your dog's gotten sick, you've lived long enough or had dogs long enough to have to watch one pass, right? Kibble, the food, garbage, right? Garbage.
Yeah.
If you take your little kibble thing and turn it around, even give him Blue Buffalo or any of these crazy brands that are super expensive, top shelf stuff at Pet Supplies or wherever you're buying your stuff, it's trash. Like, turn it around, read the ingredients. It's trash. It's cereal for dogs, which says something about the cereal that we eat, but whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting the fact that when I've been kind of playing around with what he will and won't eat now because he's not eating his dry food as readily, it's the like natural stuff that he will want.
You
more.
remember when we started eating Oreo meats and using tallow at home?
Oh, he went crazy.
He went insane for liver and then tallow, the knife that you used to take tallow and put it on the pan, then we put it in the dishwasher, and if we left the door open, he'd be in there licking the knife.
Yeah.
Insane. Like, I was like, well, I guess we're doing the right stuff when
But what Dan was alluding to Maggie's vet visit, because Maggie, she was walking outside and it's like a giant acorn thing that the trees drop, had busted open and it's a hard shell, and she kind of stepped perfectly on the side of it and it cut a little bit between where the pad of her paw meets the skin where the hair starts. And I was just kind of I was trying to clean it, letting it go, but she just would not stop licking it. It wasn't able to heal. So I usually take the dogs to the vet. Please rewind back to why is Maggie sitting by you? But
we're going to do
anyway,
that.
No, I'm just kidding. So the vet that we have established with is very understanding and on the same page with me on, we want to be very conservative. We don't want to medicate our dogs unnecessarily. We're not trying to like do anything beyond their, natural ways. And so, but because of the paw thing, it was an acute visit, and with Dan's schedule, had to see a different vet who I've never met before. Dan had the pleasure of interacting with this vet. And then you can go ahead. And she was not aware of our more simplistic natural approach.
I take Maggie Moo in there. Maggie is very, she was almost, I could feel the disappointment in her when I pulled up to the vet. It's like she knew. She's smart doggo. She's very smart. I don't say that because she's my doggo. She's just, it's objectively true.
Yeah, she still doesn't like strangers.
Yeah.
And then, she warms up to people more if you are just around, and then she can sort of familiarize herself with you. But at the vet, they're on her, because she's the focus. And then that's when she's like, bah.
Yep. So I bring her in there and I'm like, hey, she's got this thing on her paw. We just want to make sure that it doesn't get infected, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking I'm going to get a little ointment or whatever, and I'm out of there, right? No, this young lady, she was young. I mean, I'm in my 40s. I'd say she was early 30s, probably, not far removed from schooling. This young lady decides to talk to me about giving her some allergy shot, and then this and that. And then she wants to sedate her because she's too nervous. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like,
for an acute visit.
Calm. We just got to look at her little paw.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Oh, well, I got this vaccine. I'm like, yo, if she's itchy, we could give her this allergy shot. And I'm like, how about Benadryl? How about doggy Benadryl? Oh, it just doesn't work as well. Well, I know what Benadryl is. I don't know what the hell that shot that you're talking about is.
Yeah, but
That's brand new to the thing that nobody knows what it is. I'm like, what is going on? And then she's talking about like, oh, you should consider some trazodone for your dog so that you could, bring her in. Because what if I have to give her a bunch of shots? And I'm just like, ooh. So at that point, I just start I just start getting real quiet because I'm annoyed. And of course, all of this stuff, she's printing out stuff. Oh, you got to give her this special food and this thing. And she gives me the special food that's like prescription, blah, 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 blah. And of course the bill, the estimate for the bill is climbing up. And I'm just sitting there. And once I see the foods that she's saying that are prescription strength, it's all super common brands. I'm like, wait a minute, these are super common brands. I'm thinking she's going to hit me with something I've never heard of before. I'm like, these are super common brands. What are you saying? The same foods that have seed oils and synthetic ingredients in them. You're just going to tell me that these have a special protein in them and that's what you give them? I'm like, yo, I ain't falling for it, fam. Like, I just not. I'm done with that.
Yeah, because there's so much room we can do for her. So Maggie's a mixed breed. She's fancy speak for pit bull, all right? And they tend to have more sensitive skin and more allergies. Well, we have so much room where we can change her food, try to optimize that, maybe do some probiotics, get her started some on omegas that can help with skin integrity, a bunch of stuff that we have not done yet for various reasons. But that we don't need to jump to a medication first and foremost, nor was that the reason why we were in there. And she didn't injure her paw because she was itching. Now, she did have some abrasions under the doggy equivalent to armpits, but that was in combination of her itching and where her harness sits. So we stopped using the harness and that's healed up. Now, I was dying laughing because when I go, I'm very adamant. Before they can even talk, I'm like, we want to take a more natural approach. I'm not here to talk about medications. Dan, let them just kind of stick their foot in the door and then bump it.
They must have seen my face and something about me said, you know what? This guy came in for $100 visit and he's going to walk out of here with $1,000 bill. He must be that guy.
And then I've been with one of my coworkers. We've been talking a lot about old SNL skits, like when Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry were on them. And Sherry O'Terry had this character where she overused prescription medications.
Oh, that was hilarious. It's a good time to be medicated.
She's like, good times. She's like, I'm on 10 Percocets a day from a finger. And so I told him about your vet visit with Maggie, and he's like, they want her to take trazodone for her finger.
Oh, man. But that's where I was like, I started, she offered me the shot. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? And in my mind, I was going to be like, sure, show me the insert for the shot so I can see all the ingredients in it, which I know she won't. They never show.
No, so they did. So our regular vet will, because when I took her in because she was having GI issues, fast forward, I don't know if we talked about this, but she had worms. So we had that resolved, but they gave me a probiotic to help her. And I was like, what is in it? And he's like, I don't know. Let me go grab it. And it's all natural ingredients. Yep. And he gave me 2, so I have one just in case. But you just have to ask because unfortunately, you can say this with human medical providers, like we just don't have the capacity to know all the ingredients in everything.
I get it.
But it is within 100% a patient's right or a pet owner's right to ask, well, what's in it? And then if you don't know readily, which I totally understand and we don't expect you to, but to be able to supply that information readily.
So I in my mind, you start getting, the meme, the Kermit the Frog meme, the regular Kermit and then the hooded Kermit. Yeah. So I was having this dilemma because I was like, when she told me like, oh, I could give her this shot. And I was like, the hooded me was like, ask her, be like, sure, show me the insert to the shot. And then the other guy was like, no, just ignore her and just move on. But I started asking this question about, vaccines, shots. Have you ever taken a vaccine and have they shown you, hey, we're going to give you this shot today, whatever it is. Here's the insert for it with all the ingredients. Do you want to take it? Yes or no? Has anybody ever done that for you? And have you ever done that for anybody?
a vaccine information sheet that you're required by law to give out anytime you give a vaccine.
Does it have the
To be
ingredients
completely
listed
honest,
on
I
it?
don't know if it has the list of ingredients on it. I do not think it does, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But it's more of, here's this, like, they bring the shot in with the paper sitting on the cabinet as they give you your shot, and then here you take it as you go.
Yeah.
Right?
After you, yeah. So this is a problem, right? And I've been asking this question a lot. I'm like, anybody here ever taken a vaccine and they said, hey, I'm going to give you this shot for whatever. Here's the insert with the ingredients listed on it. Do you want it? Yes or no? Because that is informed consent. That is what's required to fulfill all of the guidelines for informed consent, right?
Yeah.
Not, I'm going to give you a shot for whatever, good to go, boom, here you go, walk out of here, and then maybe you pass out in the parking lot or whatever.
Well, there's unfortunately implied trust, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And I
trust.
gave the Army that implied trust when they hit me with all sorts of stuff that I don't know what it was. I'm a civilian now. You ain't getting that. Not from me.
Yeah.
And not on my doggo either. So I started having this dilemma, but then she's like, I'm going to give him trazodone. And then this is where the conversation kind of separated. I told her, like, y'all give dogs trazodone? And the face of disgust that I made. Because I have a personal experience with trazodone, right? The VA gave me trazodone for sleep, and I took it like a good little boy, and it was terrible. It wasn't for me. So some people love taking trazodone for sleep. I don't fall into that category. I could tell a marked difference in my function and how I was moving and my mood the day after taking it. So I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So, she's telling me that she wants to get my dog trazodone. I'm like, you know what? Give me the damn bill. I'm out of here.
And Dan was so upset that he did not look at the bill to realize that they overcharged him.
They did overcharge me.
Just
to add
sent
insult
us
to
home
injury.
with a cone in case she wouldn't stop licking the area on her foot.
She wanted me to cone her for 10 to 14 days.
They charged you for 2 cones. So
Danny
I caught
2
it.
cones.
I caught it and had them refund it. But so yeah. So
Fam,
fun stuff.
It just, now you take this whole thing, to some people it might not be a big deal. To me, it's not a big deal, but it was annoying, right? I was very annoyed when I left. Apply that to humans.
Well, it's along the same lines, and I don't know if you want to lead off with this, but it's something that I did want to talk about today, how it's sort of this medical providers and prescribers, the vet in this example as well, they are so ready to give you a medication for something, but did they talk to you about what types of food would be better for her allergies? What type of bathing products we're using?
She didn't even mention that.
Maybe what cleaning products we're using on the floors or what's being sprayed on the grass. Does she know if we own or rent a home? Like all these things that could be impacting the health of her skin and her reactivity to her reactiveness of her skin, but none of that was talked about. Here's a shot or here's pills to help with her itchiness, but we're not addressing the root cause. Now, does that sound similar to human medicine, where prescribers, and I say this about my conventional education, and I dislike it, how if somebody's like, oh, my blood pressure is high, I can tell you exactly what the first line medication is going to be and to do that. But I had to learn outside of school the lifestyle measures that are most effective for reducing blood pressure. And so you are going to find this cycle that has been created of providers can readily give medications for ailments because, and I've talked about this before, we've checked a box, we've fixed something, we've done something, we can then bill at a higher complexity for the visit, and we can have this sense of satisfaction of, I accomplished it, I did it. I can go throughout my day. And patients, and we're all patients, we've been conditioned to something's wrong, give me a pill to fix it. The season that we're in, because this is mid-November, I almost said end of October, wow. Mid-November, we're starting to head into flu cold season, especially people who live in environments that get colder during the winter. And somebody comes in, isn't feeling well, the visit's quicker and I can bill higher if I can just give you an antibiotic and send you on your way. Patients are like, give me an antibiotic. I don't feel good. I don't have time for this. So it's sort of this cycle we're stuck in this, this cycle where people want things without any look into their lifestyle, having to do any work. They just want to continue doing what they're doing, but have something fix what's going on. And providers want something quick and easy that they can bill for and have a sense of accomplishment with. And unfortunately, pharmaceutical companies win with everybody on that.
Yeah. And I'm sure that vets, it applies to them as well. Because I think I kind of caught the feeling that there was a time, a clock was ticking. And as soon as it hit right around the time, she was like, oh, we're going to have to sedate her so that I can look at this thing. And I'm just like, okay. I guess the 15 minutes are up, huh?
So that's just, did you get on the floor with her and hold her?
Yeah, they were putting out treats. Eventually, I just picked her up. And,
yeah, that's what
because
you know
how Maggie, how Maggie gets all like.
She just goes limp.
Yeah. So.
But that's what I did. Because when the very first time I took her in just to meet the vet, because I wanted the vet to like see her, have eyeballs on her when she's doing well. So then, because the only time I would come in is if she's not doing well, so he can have a good comparison. He wanted to listen to her heart and lungs, even when I took her in for the diarrhea, and she wasn't having it. So I got on the floor. I basically held her and then moved my hand. It's the same thing you do with kids.
Yeah.
When they go into the doctor's office, the parents usually have to hold them and move them around.
I'm a new doggo parent,
Yeah.
So I didn't want her to force her too much.
When I would do like well child visits for like, I don't know, 6 months old, 9 months old, a year old, that time period, I don't know exactly what age, where they start to get, maybe it's a little bit older toddler, where they start to get the stranger danger.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to. And especially if they remember and they've associated doctor's visits with something unpleasant like vaccines, or maybe they had a throat swab or something like that. And I just want to listen to their heart and lungs in their belly, and they are not having it. Maybe it's right when they're supposed to be feeding or something, right? So mom puts them on their lap, listen to the heart. Mom flips them over, keeps them on her lap, listen to their lungs. Like the mom's holding them the entire time. I'm working around doing my physical exam. The vets can do that with animals and should be expected even more so too.
Yeah, the animals aren't exactly going to volunteer necessarily. But Maggie's really good. When I say, let me see, she'll like flip over on her belly. But she didn't want to do it at the vet.
Next time, maybe we should go together and I can show you how it's done.
Oh, if that chick walks in, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to stand outside because I do not want to. That was such a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah. But it's doing better. We did not put the cone on her.
She didn't have to wear the cone.
Slowly healing. Yeah.
Okay. That turned into an interesting conversation about informed consent, about do we really need to do this, about profit-driven. So just apply that whole thing, apply it to humans, because that's probably how they're treating you in a lot of mainstream places. Anyway, let's get on with these topics. Before we get here, let me put the wisdom filters on. Boom. I decided I was going to call them wisdom filters because, they make me look distinguished and older, right? So they're the wisdom filters.
I kind of want you to go to the VA to get a vision assessment done, because in my head, I just think about all the glasses like all the Vietnam draftees had to wear.
The BCGs?
And maybe you just need like a pair of those, like throwback.
BCGs.
What's BCGs?
Birth control glasses. That's what they call them in the Army, BCGs. Yeah, those ugly Army issue glasses. They call them BCGs. Yeah. Oh my God. They're still issuing them joints, by the way.
Yeah, I want you to go get a pair.
Girl, I could not wear a pair of BCGs. They're kind of in fashion, though.
Exactly.
No. I wear the Malcolm X's. Those are not. Oh my God. Wearing a pair of BCGs, wearing glasses, having readers is already bad enough. I give you this look right here. Looking over the glasses, I can read down. That's bad enough. Anyway. So, getting to it, health news. Mm-hmm. This one's pretty interesting. The FDA is issuing a warning on GLP-1s. It's basically warning about sourcing and misleading marketing around GLP-1s. Okay, so the issue that they're having, why are they issuing this warning? And they basically sent warning letters to a bunch of compounding pharmacies and telehealth providers type of things. That's who they're targeting with this, essentially. Supposedly, one, they're advertising the compounded versions of the GLP-1s as generic versions of the Ozempics and the Wegovy's and the Mounjaros. And they're saying, the FDA is saying, no, it's not the same thing. The compounded version is not the same thing. It could have different ingredients. It could do different stuff. So no, it's not the same thing. You don't get to advertise it as a generic. So they're saying the marketing's misleading. They're also making ads for GLP-1s. This I like, because now, if you remember, they just passed legislation that pharmaceutical companies have to put the side effects of medications back in their advertising, right? So they're coming after some of these telehealth type companies. I'll say a name here in a second that everybody's heard, for advertising without putting the side effects in, because they're not a pharmaceutical company, right? So they have this gray area. So the company that comes to mind is Hims and Hers, big company. They put out a couple of commercials during the Super Bowl, which means they spent millions and millions of dollars. And their commercials were all like, yeah, look at me on GLP-1, blah, 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 blah. And they didn't put the side effects in there, right? And they were talking about how easy it is to get GLP-1s through them, yada, yada, yada. Which we've said this year before, this past Super Bowl, it was all pharma and alcohol. And you saw all the commercials for the Super Bowl. And trash food, yes. Anyway, so there's that recall there to back to listing side effects of medications in the advertising. Now, what's the background here? So 2 years ago, more or less, right? About 2 years ago, that massive GLP shortage, look at shortage happened, right? I don't buy it for 1 second. I'm sure they were just holding on to stocks and stocks of this stuff once they started prescribing it for weight loss to drive the price up so that people would go crazy over it, pay anything for it, and then they started releasing it. But supposedly during this, when there's a shortage in an essential medication or a high demand medication, that triggers, the government allows compounding pharmacies to make a version of that, right? To fulfill the shortage. So that happened with the GLPs a couple years ago. Now the compounders started seeing, they started making a lot of money, right? Because these GLPs are they're Ferraris, they're the hot ticket item. Everybody wants them. So the compounders are making a lot of money too. Now, here's where the compounders saw an opportunity. A GLP dose, if you pay out of pocket in this country, it's over $1,000 at a conventional provider, which more than likely now, because a lot of the insurance companies started dropping it for weight loss, more than likely now you will pay out of pocket. You're looking at over $1,000 for a month supply, right?
Yeah, there's some pharmacy, I think you can get like the solution, but you have to self-draw it up, the vials, through Lilly Direct, and I think it's like $700.
Yeah, that's a whole mess of money.
Yeah.
So the compounders started making smaller doses, and they started selling it. You can find a small dose. So what is it? A 32 of a dose for $250. They had $500 servings. So they had less, expensive options. And they started selling a lot of that because that made it accessible to more people, right? Paying $1,000 a month for something is not something that is accessible to everybody, obviously. So they went in that direction. Hey, we're going to microdose this. We're going to put these smaller doses that are not available in the conventional healthcare provider offices, and they started making a lot of money with that. Now, compounding pharmacies can be good, right? You get generics, you get all this stuff. They make it more accessible for other people that need medications because they can, price different, what have you. They can do generics, all this other stuff. So now there's a recall, like they're bringing the chickens back home, right? Big Pharma is like, we're good. We can make enough now. So guess what, compounders? You need to stop making GLPs.
Because we want your business.
Because we want your freaking business. They're not saying that, but that's what's happening. They're basically saying, hey, we're good. We can produce enough for everybody now. That shortage was back then. We're good now. So compounders, you need to stop making it. This brings up an interesting point because Brigham Bueller, he's very involved in the Maha movement. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times.
Ways so well?
I believe that's he owns a compounding pharmacy. He's really good about talking about all the behind the scenes stuff in Big Pharma and all that stuff with references and receipts. He's really good. But he owns a compounding pharmacy, right? So he has a reason to fight Big Pharma, which, whatever, it's fine. Anyway, he talks about this. He's been saying, said it already months ago on the last time he was in Rogan. He said, hey, they're going to find a way to take a lot of these peptides out of the compounders. Yeah. That's coming. They're going to lobby the FDA and they're going to regulate to take a lot of these peptides. And he wasn't just talking about GLPs. He was talking about the BPC 157s and the TB 500s. He was talking about all the peptides. He's like, they're either going to label them something else and they'll be like, oh, the only people that can handle this is the pharmaceutical companies. So he was talking about that. You with me so far?
Yep.
What do you think so far?
Well, he's also talked a lot about the number of audits he gets compared to.
Yes, that's a very interesting point. So before people poo-poo on the compounding pharmacies, he talks about, and listen, I'll give you my take because I'm going to surprise you. No, I won't surprise you. If you know me, you know me. But compounding pharmacies, something that he complains about a lot is that the number of audits and inspections that for the amount of stuff that he produces, that he would get is way exponentially higher than the number of audits and that a pharmaceutical company gets.
Yeah, you hear that.
And the number of infractions that he gets hit with is significantly lower than a pharmaceutical company does. So they get less. He's saying his claim that pharmaceutical companies receive less audits and have way more infractions when they do than him with more audits and way less infractions.
Yeah. And that's consistent with that GI specialist that's on the Power Athlete podcast, Sabine, something like that, where she was like, I was just going to make a separate office for the FDA because they needed to come in because they're always auditing, what they're doing because they're doing good things, like really trying to help people, really trying to address root causes and get results from people and are being very successful with it and are passionate about it and have, I think, more, I'm not saying it's completely altruistic because they are making money, but I would say more of a patient's interest in mind than a typical pharmaceutical company. But yet the FDA is knocking on their doors way more.
That lady's really interesting. This is Dr. I don't know her full name, Dr. Sabine. She's a Moroccan lady and she's like a gastro type specialist, and she's looking at things, a plethora of diseases that her theory is that the microbiome is related, right?
Yep.
That, autism and things like that there is something in the gut that has gone off kilter that we can fix and then dampen symptoms, right?
And so even decline of life is, there's a correlation with a decline in a certain bacteria in your gut.
Yeah. And so she's very strong into the immune function related to the microbiome. So now her practice is privately funded. So if they make money, they turn it around and invest it in the practice, right? There's no grants, there's nothing from the outside, no investors, nothing, which that makes it, they're very flexible. They could do whatever they want, right? So, hey, you put a target on your back at that point, I guess, when you're that nimble and what you're doing is that interesting.
Yeah. And the podcast that just released today, I was listening to it a little bit just to get remember what we were talking about. And you talked about nutraceuticals in that podcast, about how pharma is coming into the supplement realm. So this is very consistent with that. Yeah. And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chalkless has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chalkless. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chalkless.com and use code JaneBrown to snag 10% off your order.
So they're jumping in. Listen, let's talk about one that people love, psychedelics. You know, the veteran community is abuzz with psychedelics for TBI, psychedelics for PTS. They love it, right? I have a different take on psychedelics. I'm not that interested for a plethora of reasons, including spiritual ones. But whatever, guys are taking it, they say it's helping. And people are really interested in this. Why do you think it's taken so long to get them approved? They're giving pharma a little opportunity to make their pill version of ayahuasca, baby. Come on now. Go with me on this. Put your hats on, guys. Put your hats on. If you don't think, you heard it here first, if you haven't heard it elsewhere on the PharmaPhobic podcast, if you don't think that Big Pharma isn't going to come out with their version of marijuana, okay, Pfizer weed is not coming. If you don't think that they're not going to put ayahuasca in a pill, that they're not going to put fucking... Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm trying to keep this podcast clean.
You just got us an explicit mark.
Devoid of secular language, right? Because we're sanctifying. Anyway, if you don't think that they're not gonna put DMT in a pill that they can sell you, if you don't see that coming, then use a sleep.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good name. Like instead of reefer, it's Refizer.
Yes, something to that effect. That is coming, y'all. Like that, stop it right now. The only reason marijuana isn't legal federally is because they're waiting for Pfizer to figure their stuff out. How are they going to sell it? You know, and get you Pfizer weed. Get their grows. It's coming. Yeah. Anyway, so that is where they're at. They're crossing over into that. Mm-hmm. Using safe and effective or FDA approved without putting the product through the process. So the FDA is saying, you can't say this is safe and effective, or you can't say this is FDA approved, even though they're alluding to this is the same stuff as this. So it's FDA approved or it's safe and effective.
Yeah, which is interesting because the FDA doesn't even hold a standard of testing by like third parties, or if they do hold it, they don't, there doesn't have to be proof. We've talked about it previously, I can't readily remember it. Whereas a good compounding pharmacy will do, because they can market it as third party tested, you know, all these things. So it's like the FDA doesn't have all their, I's dotted, T's crossed and everything like that. But they're saying like, we hold a standard that we can't even fulfill. So how dare you say that you hold a standard?
So they're basically telling these compounders that they need to put their version of the GLP through the process if they want to be able to say it's safe and effective or FDA approved. Which here's a bone that I would have to pick with that. Any other medication, if you use it for the same thing you can reformulate it as much as you want to without it having to go through the FDA approval process again.
Yep.
Let me say that again. Any medication.
So I thought it was not if you use it for the same thing, but if you use it for something else.
If you claim it does something else, like let's say you make a little widget pill for, I don't know, bumps in your forehead, and then it has 10 ingredients in it, and this is for bumps in your forehead. You can change all 10 ingredients and it doesn't have to go through another testing process, as long as you say it's for bumps in your forehead.
Okay.
That's the whole thing there. So what's up with making these guys go through FDA to say that their GLPs are safe and effective?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Well, we have seen that some not great compounding pharmacies are giving people, or not even compounding pharmacies, but some people are so desperate for these GLPs, they're buying them directly from
sources. So that's
China and stuff like that. And it's coming out that it's not even a GLP, or it's like mixed with mystery things.
Or it has a way lower quality version of the peptide, of the glucagon, whatever. It is hilarious, that you've created such a craze for these things that now people are like going to these like black market Chinese versions of GLPs. What are we doing, y'all? Turkish and Chinese supposedly are the two that are like, you want to be careful with that.
It's like when you go to other countries, you get the off-brand of like Prada or something. It's like Ozempic.
Impic. They don't have Manjaro. They just got Jaro.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah.
So it is, I mean, listen, this is crazy. So they're basically trying to establish a clear line between, these are compounded. They're not as good quality as my big pharma version, right? And so that's why this one's $1,000 a month. Boo-boo. Now, things that are happening here. The pharma ones, you can't microdose. Am I correct? They only make them in these boom, boom with a 4-step doses.
So if they come in auto-injectable pins that you cannot microdose, right? Because it's the dose. But they also come in vials that you have to drop. So it's kind of like insulin. Insulin can come in a pin or a vial. The vial, you're in charge of drawing up the dose.
Okay.
So if a person gets a vial and they are very well versed in the dosing, they could microdose themselves. However, insurance companies will not pay for your medication if you don't refill it in a timely manner. So say I'm given a vial of Ozempic and I'm going to do 0.5 milligrams every week, right? But say I want to microdose it, so I go 0.025, right? And then, but it takes me longer to go through that vial. Now insurance is saying you didn't fill it in the appropriate amount of time, so therefore we won't cover it. So people, I mean, if they want to play the game, they'll refill it when they're due to and just stock up. But at some point, you're going to have a surplus of medication. Then do you stop? Like, it's just, it can get tricky. And it expires. Yes, and it expires. Yeah. And
so
then,
I think where this is headed is, I have a, now that you're talking about microdosing, so let's give credit or, a nod to supposedly where it's at with the GLPs. A lot of people that we kind of look up to in the industry are reporting positive results with microdosing. Tiny doses of GLP, like literally the smallest dose divided in like a quarter of the smallest dose that you could take of GLP, maybe even less.
Maggie scared me.
Oh, she made a little Maggie Moo noise. I didn't know what that was either.
It was like a groan.
Yeah. She's such a pity. A pretty pity.
Oh, sorry.
So anyway, you did jump. That's on video.
Well, it was like here.
It's like a roar, like a little
Yes.
roar almost. Anyway, so they're reporting that people are getting great results with minimum side effects.
Mhm.
The nauseas, the minimum side effects. That's what they're saying. So, hey, listen, if that's the case, party on, Garth. Okay?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Which yeah.
so they the whole thing, this is where this is going. Pharma's starting to call the chickens home.
Mhm.
They're starting to, hey, bring it back under my control, right?
Yep.
I let you party. You made a little paper on my behalf because I created this shortage. Now I want my money back. It's time to pay the piper.
Yep.
Now you can see where I'm going with this, as I alluded earlier. The weed, the psychedelics. If you don't think that pharmaceutical companies are going to put out their own version of that, you're crazy. You can start seeing now they got the peptides, the GLPs, not only the GLPs, because they came up with the GLPs. I'm talking about the BPCs and the TB500s and all the other peptides that people are using for all this other great stuff, supposedly, allegedly great stuff.
Mhm.
And all of that stuff is getting regulated out of the compounder's hands, or out of, you used to be able to get BPC 157 at one of the med spas for like $200 for the
Yeah.
month. Now it's over 1,000
Mm.
because pharma got the FDA to tell them, hey, y'all are not responsible enough to handle this,
Mhm.
right? So what do we do about this? How do we avoid having to deal with the squeeze from pharmaceutical companies, or having to worry about, is the GLP that I have from China? Did I get Manjaro or did I get that Jaro?
Yeah.
What can we do about this?
Work with somebody to optimize your lifestyle, dig into root cause, and try it from that approach.
Yep. So a lot of people, the argument, and if you guys have been listening to us, you know where we fall with this stuff. We're lifestyle, we're basics, over biohacking, we're all that stuff. This is when people from the health field, not the healthcare field, like trainers, dietitians, nutritionists, people that are health coaches, when they're over there beating the GLP drum and like, oh, just jump on the GLP. I can't stand it, because to me, all I'm hearing you say is, I don't believe enough in what I do, that I am going to outsource responsibility to Big Pharma.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people folded.
They folded.
So because they saw, well, everyone's going to be on it anyway.
Yep.
Why don't I turn around and support it and try to piggyback on that profit of people are on it, and I'm going to,
And now I'm starting to see these people putting, like trainers and strength coaches putting on GLP specific training programs, which make me want to throw up in my mouth.
Yes, but at the same, okay. So I can kind of see both sides to that. I agree with you on that. Yes. I'm just like, what are we doing? But it's not dissimilar from saying creatine's great. Here's this creatine for women. That's BS too. Yeah. No, I know, but the GLP strength training is strength training, right? But unfortunately, they're playing the game of, let me nab people's attention. Women need to be taking creatine hands down. If we put it in a pink bottle and label it women's creatine, will it grab their attention? Okay, are they still taking creatine? The problem is that these people aren't necessarily it's not always making sure it's a good quality creatine, and they're probably upselling it.
Oh yeah, they're upselling
it. To make women pay more when it's just, you need creatine monohydrate. No ifs and like, if you're on a GLP, you just need strength training. You don't need GLP specific strength training. You just need strength training. And so I agree with you. It's BS, but at the same time, I will concede that there's so many people on these GLPs that I just need them all to strength train.
Yeah, you are of the ilk that it doesn't matter how they get there. It just matters that they get there. Okay,
but it's sad that we've gotten to a point where, for people, we can't just rely on the evidence of strength training being popular. We have to say, like, oh, here's a GLP specific program.
Yeah.
And if we really think about it as humans, how dumb are we? Like, we have to be shown, like, hey, look, it's shiny, do this. Like, we can't just understand.
You're special. Jump
Yeah.
on this. Yeah.
Like,
I get it.
yeah.
I get what you're saying. I'm still gonna throw up in my mouth. When I see your GLP specific program, I'm still gonna throw up in my mouth. I get it. I get what you're doing. You're trying to get more people in the gym. We love it, but I'm still gonna throw up in my mouth. Okay. So here's what I look at. I hate that health practitioners, trainers, people that know better are jumping on the bandwagon and are adding to the craze. I hate that. To me, as I'm an insider and I know that this is not what you're saying for the most part. For the most part. So maybe some of you are. I know that you're not saying, I don't believe in what I do, therefore go ahead and get your GLP on. But to somebody from the outside who hasn't interacted with health and fitness and that sort of thing, they're saying even this swole guy or this girl that's super in shape is saying, yeah, take the GLP, you need it. So I'm just, hey, forget that. I'm gonna jump on this because this is the holy grail, right?
Yeah.
So, and that is where it's muddying the waters to a point. And here's the truth. We didn't arrive at 70% obesity because GLPs weren't out yet.
Yeah.
We didn't get there because we didn't have 70% of the population on GLPs, right?
Yeah.
So the whole focus around sourcing GLPs, around making them available, around putting them on Medicare, putting them on Medicaid, all this stuff. Oh, we got to make them cheaper. Oh, let's get these GLPs. All this craze from the government on down to health practitioners and healthcare workers and all these people trying to figure out how to slang GLPs to more people is taking the focus off the real issue, which is what's in our food, bro?
Yeah.
Why is our food system so messed up?
So a couple things. What's in the food is, you said that we don't have a lack of GLP, and because I was listening to the podcast that dropped today, you said that exact same thing on that podcast. And I said, but we aren't looking at what's suppressing the activity of our natural GLP.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the quality of our food. That's our stress level. That's our activity. Natural GLP production does not like somebody being sedentary. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So why aren't we focusing on that? And you could say that about everything. Why aren't we focusing on the real cause of heart disease and not cholesterol? Why aren't we focusing on the real cause of blood pressure and not salt? You know, all these things. But there's medications, people are taking them. Now, I lost my train of thought. It was so good.
Oh, you old. You're getting old.
Yeah.
Welcome to your 40s.
Shoot. But
I'm sure you were going to drop a bomb.
I was going to rip this mic. I can't. It's not like a real microphone and just Janine will murder me.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I was talking about how you said that we didn't for lack of GLPs.
We didn't get to 70% obesity because we didn't have 70% of the population on GLPs.
Got it. So there is a subgroup of people who have and I can, again, I'm trying to like see all sides because I'm trying to be compassionate, but who say it doesn't matter if people are less fat, that's better. Right? So if we get their weight down, that's better. Right?
I've heard that argument.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, I can see it because obesity is epidemic, pandemic? I don't remember whatever the
pandemic, epidemic. It's crazy. It's endemic at this point. It's crazy.
Whatever the imic it is, right? It sounds like a cuss word. But I understand what they're saying. Like if we get people to be less fat, they'll be healthier. But I don't agree with that. Not with everybody, right? If somebody's got into a discussion with somebody, he gave the example of somebody going from 350 pounds to 250 is healthier. At that point, yeah, a lot of risks decrease with that 50-pound weight loss. I'll give you that, right? But 250, you stop there? No, you keep going by like lifestyle and things. Let's optimize things. So almost like when I gave the example of your blood pressure super high, let's get a medication to bring it down, but then let's do lifestyle to help manage it. Like if you're so morbidly obese that serious health complications are knocking at your door, okay, a GLP can be useful. Guess what, hun? It still takes time, because if there's rapid weight loss, say goodbye to your gallbladder and a bunch of other stuff too. But, we can help bring the weight down, but we still have to focus on the lifestyle stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not doing that, or they assume if somebody takes a GLP, they care about their lifestyle and will start making changes. Or that they will. And some people are. Some people who are on GLPs are. And there are some people out there saying like, hey, when I get on the GLP, my food cravings change. I don't crave alcohol as much.
Oh, I get it.
All this stuff. And then as a consequence, they will decrease some of this heavily processed food intake, and their gut health will improve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But unfortunately, that's not the answer, because I myself, when I was starting out as a practitioner, was a part of that eat less, work out more camp. That's all it is, right? But that's not all that it is. Our gut health is completely untouched by conventional medicine, and as far as addressing it and looking further into it. And if you're talking about GLP, your gut health directly influences that. So why are we not talking about that more? Why are we not talking about pets? Our pets give a stool sample 1 to 2 times a year. Why are we not pooping into something and sending it for our general practitioner to look at least once a year?
Because it's a very creepy process. I got to tell you guys, that whole stool.
No, but it baffles me that
they don't look at the gut.
Yeah,
I agree.
But yet we give medications that readily influence it. From GLPs influence your gut, antibiotics influence your gut, all these other steroids influence your gut. All these things influence your gut. It's absorbed through your gut. But yet we don't look at that general health of it.
Nope.
So,
and especially after which we were talking about that earlier, you go through multiple courses of antibiotics, like somebody we know.
Yeah.
And now they're experiencing GI distress after they eat, and they're like, oh, let's send you in for all these scans. No addressing of the gut, nothing.
Yeah.
You just nuked it 3 times, but nope, we're not going to look at that. So I get all that. Like, I understand what some people are saying, like, oh, we just need people to be less fat and they're going to be healthier.
But the person who I have in mind who said this to me sees people in snapshots. I've talked about this gentleman before. And he made the comment to me, I don't live with my patients. Because when I asked him asking them about their lifestyle, he's like, I don't live with my patients. And I'm like, I don't either, bro. But you just ask questions. Be curious. But when he said to be less fat, now you need to understand there's a lot of people who are on these medications who aren't obese. Yep. We're just using it to use it.
South Florida, stand up.
Yeah.
There's people out here that they started the medication at 120 pounds because they want to weigh 100.
Yeah. So, okay. But I'll play the game. We'll have somebody who's, the low 30s for BMI, who's obese, maybe even high 20s overweight. They lost 20 pounds, but now they have osteopenia or osteoporosis. Are they healthier because of that? They lost 20 pounds, or they lost 40 pounds really quickly, and they had to go through surgery to get their gallbladder out. Are they healthier? You have this experience, except a large amount of weight, but now they're afraid to eat because now they're afraid of food, because food equals weight gain. So they've developed an eating disorder. Are they healthier? Are we doing good?
That's an actual case, guys. Like, we're not making this stuff up. This is right here, one-to-one, personal experience.
People who've lost 20 to 30 pounds, but now they can't have a bowel movement without X-Lax. Are they healthier? They can't eat a meal without taking Zofran. Are they healthier? So what are we doing? What is health? Is health just you're from this weight to this weight, and then that's it?
And your blood markers temporarily improve.
It's much more complex than that. And also, freaking remembered. Here we go. The body is amazing. Okay. I've said it repeatedly. The body will figure out how to work around GLPs to make them less effective. Eventually, just give it time, especially if people continue to eat crap, because big food does not like the fact that decrease revenue because GLPs are causing people to consume less. So guess what they're in the lab doing? Making food that bypasses the effects of GLPs. So now you have super hyper palatable food.
Yeah, you're going to get the hyper palatable on 2.0 on steroids. Be like, now this is hyper palatable.
Yeah. And then I'm sure they're going to make stuff that's more calorically dense, right? People can't consume as much volume. Let's make something more calorically dense. But what happens when that gets in the hand of somebody who doesn't need something that's calorically dense, and the sheer volume doesn't feel satisfying to them? So then they overconsume. It's a problem.
Yeah, I think there's a honeymoon phase with this stuff. Like if you take it, let's say, because you weigh 300 pounds and you get down to 250, 220 on the medication. And then your blood work's gonna get better. Because yes, being overweight, being obese causes a whole slew of issues. So inflammation's gonna go down, all the blood work's gonna start cleaning itself up just because you lost 80 pounds, right? So there's that part. It's like, yes, that's honeymoon phase, right? We went like this. What's on the other side of that? When you continue to use the medication and you didn't adopt any lifestyle metrics to support it. Because I'll tell you what, there are people, and some of them are clients of mine, that went on the GLP, they lost some weight, and they got curious about their health. Like, you know what? I need to go lift these weights. I want to do healthy stuff now. That they are out there. They're not. They're not the majority.
I got a good one for you.
They're not. I'm looking at, let's say we put 10 people on them. You might get 2 that start getting really curious about their health. I'm speculating, of course, maybe there's more, but they're not the majority. The majority of people receive the quote unquote reward of weight loss. And they're like, screw it. I don't need to do anything. Why? Like, what's her name? Widerstrom.
Mm-hmm.
She went on there saying that one of her clients that was on a GLP, her friends were making fun of her for having a trainer. He's like, you're taking the GLP. Why are you working with a trainer?
Like, why are you spending money on a trainer when you could spend it on a GLP?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were making fun. They were all on GLPs, but she's working out. They weren't, and they're making fun of her because she's on a GLP and working out when she's already you're already good.
So, and if people don't, they're like, oh well, most people will be good. And I've worked with some people who had BMIs in the 60s and 70s, and I facilitated them getting on a GLP. Some weight got off, and they mobility improved. Like they had so much weight and mobility was impaired. Mobility improved. They started doing the things. This was all done at very low doses. These people 100% can get on board with it. There's a patient right now who is on a GLP and has no problem telling me that he absolutely will not exercise, hates exercise, is never going to exercise. Nope, wants to sit on his couch all day. And he's very social, goes out to eat a lot. And he's on a GLP. He's deathly afraid of gaining weight because he has pre-existing kidney issues from one thing or another, only has one kidney. So he's like, I can't put on weight because that'll increase my blood pressure. Therefore, I need the GLP to keep my weight down.
But he won't do anything to...
But what if you're that scared?
We're not eating right.
You're not... What's the diet that could be most optimal for my kidney health? What's the activity that can be most optimal for my kidney health? And
tell me he drinks alcohol too.
I don't know if he does. Doesn't eat and is complaining about, this is what people don't understand with GLPs. Because there's a lot of people who are on GLPs, they drive their weight down so much, they're not eating, they don't move their body, their mood is crap. Well, don't worry, here's some Prozac. Hey, here's, you can't sleep, here's just a little Xanny, some benzos for you. Oh, now I'm a little disoriented during the day. I think I'm having some cognitive decline. Do I have Alzheimer's? Do I need to be worked up for that? No, y'all just need to eat. Eat and move your body. You are starving your brain, you're starving your body, all in the name of health, when you refuse to do anything on your own day to day to help with your health because a medication came in and saved the day. And now you can just sit and do nothing and be rewarded because the scale goes down, and every time you go to the doctor and your blood pressure looks good and everything like that, they say, good job.
Well, and the thing is that eventually you're gonna have to come off it. Eventually, $1,000 a month or however much you're paying is gonna be too much. Eventually, insurance isn't gonna pay for it anymore.
For some people,
Eventually,
that's not an eventual. They have no problem with money, insurance, they're not even
yep.
utilizing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, there'll be another shortage. Eventually, you won't be able to get your hands on it. Eventually, something will happen that you'll have to come off it, right? Let's say the side effects compound too much and you're like, hey, you need to come off it. And then you're going to gain the weight. And you didn't learn a single thing about how to manage your health. You didn't learn anything because you didn't implement a single lifestyle change. You just took the stuff and it kept you from eating, whatever. And
No,
that's
and I put this on the providers too. You're not asking about their lifestyle. You just, hey, these medication, they're not complaining, their weight's going down, their blood work looks better. Let me not ask any more questions because I don't want to get into any discussions that are harder. Just shh, take the med.
yep.
Shh, take the med. Shh, take the med.
And that's where this is why I'm disappointed at the people from the health part, right? The trainers, the nutritionists, the dietitians that are jumping on the bandwagon and be like, let me get my, I'm disappointed, guys, because these people, listen, and if you have one or two people that are on it that they decided, like I have clients, they decided to, I'm gonna get into this stuff. I'm gonna get into the training. I'm gonna get into the eating better. I'm gonna get into this stuff. Now, asterisk there, because there's other stuff that we're seeing that's not good, right? Talking about people that are afraid to eat because food is bad, blah, 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 blah. Now, do not outsource responsibility for your health. You
Mm-hmm.
hear us saying that all the time. If you go on the thing, you go on the GLP, understand that this is temporary, right? And that there are other things that you need to do to guarantee that you stay with those quote unquote health gains that you made on the medication, right? And that's what I don't like about it because all of us, the people that want to jump on it, and then the people from this side of, the healthcare people that are like, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, we need them. It's like, bro, we're missing the point. We're not focusing on the stuff that got us obese in the first place. We're not paying attention to what's in the food and what you're eating anymore and the crappy ingredients and the stuff. We're not paying attention to that anymore because we're fighting about where we're sourcing GLPs. Oh, that's compounded GLP versus that. The stuff that matters, that is actually going to win in the long term, that won 50 years ago, and that'll keep winning 50 years from now, the working out, the eating the good stuff, is falling by the wayside. It's over there like that meme. It's drowning,
Yeah.
and the mom's over here playing with the GLPs, right?
God, Maggie.
God, Maggie's got you jumping. She's just stretching. She's a stretchy girl.
It's like this low groan.
She's a little pity. She's a little baby. Anyway.
And I just forget that she's there.
Oh, God. We had another topic that I wanted to get into. We'll leave that for the next one.
Well, we'll wrap it up with this because it's timely. And I started talking about a little bit cold and flu season, antibiotics. It's not as so the majority of people who are put on antibiotics in a primary care setting probably don't need it. And antibiotics don't work for viral infections. Your body can clear up a lot of things. Now, they are needed for things like UTIs, pneumonias, true bacterial sinusitis, which is not often what people think is a bacterial sinusitis. I'm talking symptoms for 10, 14 days plus. Thick nasal drainage, maybe has an odor to it, swollen lymph nodes, fever, intense pressure radiating into the teeth that's unrelenting. That's bacterial. Now, antibiotics are often given because people come in and they've been sick for 2 days. I don't have time for this. I don't want to be sick. I need to get better right now. Give me an antibiotic. And it's like, okay. Well, the fact that you don't have time to be sick tells me that's probably the reason why you got sick. Because same thing about what are you doing about your health? What are you doing about your immune health all the other days of the year? Are you actively making deposits into your health so that your immune system is robust? Or do you just rely on antibiotics every time you get a sniffle? And now you're on antibiotics 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. You've destroyed your gut microbiome, which guess what? helps with your immune system. So now you need antibiotics more easily. So just because we beat up on the GLPs, I want to talk about that. I wanted to bring that up a little bit as well. That the cycle I talked about earlier in this episode of here's a medication and we as patients just want medications. As patients, we need to be a little bit more responsible on our health. We don't quit outsourcing your health. Take care of yourself. Understand what supports your immune system. Adequate sleep, managing your stress, good healthy diet, lots of, fruits and vegetables, antioxidants, supplementing with zinc, vitamin D, getting sunlight, maybe some vitamin C. You can get that more easily through food. Now, when we over-rely on antibiotics, it causes a detriment to our health. When we over-rely on GLPs, it causes a detriment to our health. So it's across the board on a lot of these things, but antibiotics resistance is real. The more we utilize them, the more they're not going to work in the future. As it stands right now, 1 in 3 urinary tract infections will be resistant to an antibiotic. And as women, how that's very common for us to get. And so just keep that in mind with use of any medication. What am I doing for my foundational health to minimize or avoid the use of medications so that if they truly are needed, they're going to be effective? And that's really what we want to promote on the PharmaPhobic podcast. We're not 100% anti-medications. Dan may say he is.
I am.
But I'm of the thinking of they are there for a reason. Things like penicillin have saved lives. But what's going to happen?
Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, yeah.
What's going to happen if we overutilize these things because we just aren't taking care of ourselves when we truly need them?
Yep.
And so.
Which, now that you mentioned penicillin, and I think in a future podcast, I have some research to do, but things like penicillin, ivermectin, like these, medications that have been around for a long time, that they all have something in common. I'm not going to say it now, but we'll talk about it on a few. I'm interested in this because there's a little bit of a rabbit hole there, like how those were developed versus how a lot of these other medications were developed.
So anyway, it's putting an investment into your health is worth it no matter which way you look at it. And so I know we beat up a lot on the GLPs. We talk about weight a lot. It's just because it's so much in our faces every day.
Everybody wants to talk about this stuff.
But it's not only for that.
There's only 2 things that might be more popular right now. GLPs, Epstein Island.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
But anyway, so here's what I want people to take away. If you're on a GLP, cool. No, seriously, cool. Okay. But you got to think of this like the stock market, right? Hey, you invested in you put money down on a stock and that thing's going to the moon, right? At some point, you're going to have to get off because that thing's going to crash, right? Unless you invested in Apple or Walmart or something like that. But that thing it's going to crash, especially when we're dealing with pharmaceuticals. Eventually, the honeymoon period's over, and then what you start getting is the side effects and all that stuff, right? So I want you to be like, I'm going to get off while the getting's good. I lost me a little weight. Boom. Let me start implementing the stuff that's actually going to keep the weight off now for the long run. And let me jump off the thing, because you can't be on that stuff for forever without paying the piper in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yep.
That's what I want you to take away. And then to all the other people that are not on it, but you guys are, singing the praises of GLP, our Lord and Savior, GLP. Oh my God, it came to save us from obesity. So all of you guys that are of that ilk, especially if you're from this industry, the health industry, if you're nutritionists, if you're dietitians, if you're strength coaches, if you're trainers, bruh, I want you to talk as passionately about working out and eating good food and eating whole foods and all this other stuff and going to sleep and having good social connections and getting outside. I want you to talk as passionately about that as you do about these stinking GLPs, bro. Because some of these people, you might as well get paid, my guy. Like, you might need to be making pharmaceutical rep money with how you're over here promoting this stuff, bro. Get paid. How much do pharma reps make? Like $250 a year for selling this stuff? Go get some of that, because you're pushing it that hard.
Yeah.
So if you're just over there on Instagram talking GLPs are great and you're not getting paid, bro, you're failing yourself. Go get paid at that point.
Oh my gosh. Dan.
Anyway, with that in mind, we're gonna close this out because did I rant?
A little bit. I think we both did.
Yeah, I wanted to come off the top rope.
And we talked about the doggo a lot.
That wasn't my intention to come off the top rope.
But I think it's important.
Well, no, the doggo thing, I wanted to come off the top rope on that because that lady, ooh, girl, don't let me get.
Oh my gosh.
But the GLPs, I wasn't trying to come off the top rope on that. Like, I do have some horror stories of stuff that's brewing out there, but the GLPs, but we're going to leave that for another podcast because I'm hearing people are doing all sorts of crazy stuff for this stuff. It's becoming the new crack, I guess. Anyway, anything you want to say in closing?
Nope. Just, like our podcast, rate and review. If you want to reach out to us, our email is info@achievethelifestyle.com. Check out our website, achievethelifestyle.com. Or there's some place where it always goes down.
It do go down in the DM.
Yeah. So Instagram @achievethelifestyle and our YouTube if you want to see our faces.
Yeah, go listen. The best way to consume this podcast is to play it via Apple or Spotify, whichever you get your podcast, and have the YouTube video on the side going.
You gotta sync it up.
Yep, double dip, right? That's the best way. That gets extra healthy.
Because there's no audio with YouTube, right? So you have to.
No. Don't tell them, Janine. There's no audio. They need to watch the YouTube as well. We're double dip, double health gains, right?
Oh,
anyway, with that in mind, I hope this was of value to you. Leave us a review. If you're mad that we kind of poo-pooed on GLPs a little bit here, then
let's have a discussion.
Yeah. Hit us on the DM. Tell us why we're wrong after you leave us 5-star review on the thing.
Yep.
Fair? Okay. With that in mind, we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Till then, stay pharma-free.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram @AchieveTheLifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website @AchieveTheLifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.